This is CBC Vancouver News.
Whether that's a rebate, whether that's a reduction in premiums for a certain amount of time, that money belongs to the small businesses of BC.
Providing relief amid rising costs. Some groups are calling on WorkSafeBC to return a $2 billion surplus to the small businesses that pay into it. Plus,
keeps kids connected to what they should be doing, which is learning and growing as individuals.
It will be really nice that they can do school here during that time as well.
A new education program is offering learning support for kids with long-term illnesses. Also,
beekeeping is only permitted in a lot equal to or greater than 0.4 hectares. We're hoping that this is a typo.
a draft bylaw in Revelstoke is creating a buzz among the beekeeping community. Why some are concerned about their backyard hives. Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. The Sts'ailes First Nation Council has removed Ralph Leon Jr. as chief of the First Nation after alleged misconduct. In a statement today, the council says the alleged misconduct includes unauthorized or unverified spending, pay advances, excessive technology purchasing, and failure to attend critical meetings. The statement goes on to say the chief was given a chance to respond to allegations at a meeting on August 27th, after which council determined the allegations were substantiated. Council say the decision was made unanimously. The Sts'ailes First Nation is located northwest of Agassiz in the Fraser Valley. CBC News has reached out to the former chief but have yet to hear back. Emergency services at 5 interior health hospitals have been interrupted this long weekend due to limited doctor availability. All but one reopened this morning.
It's getting to the point that people, like I was talking to a couple of people last night, they're just scared. Like it's becoming a little bit more worrisome. Even when I even said on Facebook, I've got to watch kind of what I do for activities now. Like I'm concerned with the family if something happens.
BC's Ministry of Health says healthcare worker shortages across Canada and here in BC are impacting healthcare systems, especially when it comes to keeping emergency room doors open. Emergency services in the Cariboo region are set to open on Monday. A business lobby group is calling on the provincial workplace regulator to return excess funds to small businesses in BC. WorkSafeBC has a $2 billion surplus from last year, which the Canadian Federation of Independent Business says should be given back to employers to provide some relief amid rising costs and economic pressures.
WorkSafeBC, big, fat payroll.
Neil Wiles is executive director of the Mount Pleasant Business Improvement Area. He says his members, many of them losing a lot of revenue from Broadway subway construction, could use a break.
I don't think anyone's overflowing with cash, and to have their money back in their pocket would do them all good.
One expense every business with employees has in this province is WorkSafeBC premiums. And the Canadian Federation of Independent Business says the Workers' Compensation Board has a big surplus.
Small businesses are the ones who fund the worker compensation system. This is money directly taken from premium rates, from premiums from small business owners.
The CFIB is calling for WorkSafeBC to return some of the $2.1 billion surplus from last year to business owners, which the group estimates could amount to nearly $4,000 for a business with 5 employees.
I think that when you're sitting on a $2.1 billion surplus that realistically belongs to the small businesses of BC, you should probably return it. Whether that's a rebate, whether that's a reduction in premiums for a certain amount of time, that money belongs to the small businesses of BC. They paid for it.
In the CFIB's report on WorkSafeBC's surplus, it cites several other provinces that have returned surpluses from their workers' compensation boards to businesses. WorkSafeBC told CBC News that it has used the extra money to keep business premiums low. The average base rate has been flat since 2018, despite some of the highest inflation in decades. Without the surplus, the average premium base rate would need to increase 15%.
They claim that the surplus is necessary to maintain rate stability. But with a surplus of $2 billion, there's more than enough to smooth rates and still provide the financial relief that small businesses need and are asking for.
The province acknowledged the challenges faced by small businesses in BC, but highlighted the importance of maintaining a stable workers' compensation system. Rob Easton, CBC News, Vancouver.
For the first time, some BC wildfire crews were able to fight fires 24 hours a day wearing night vision goggles. And some helicopters were also equipped with night vision equipment, allowing them to extinguish flames at night when wildfire behavior is more subdued.
The goggles themselves, they allow helicopters to fly when it is dark. It does allow for detection of hotspots and fire perimeters, but the big factor is being able to fly at night.
The Wildfire Service says the technology has helped crews contain fires this summer in the Kamloops and Southeast fire centers. Officials hope to expand the number of firefighters and pilots who are trained to use the technology by next season. As thousands of children in BC get ready to head back to school, some are having to stay behind because of a long-term illness. But as Saurabh Sandhu reports, a new program through Ronald McDonald House aims to bridge that gap, ensuring sick kids have the tools to continue learning.
Just like other 6-year-olds, Duncan Ackert should be gearing up for grade 1, but instead he's at the BC Children's Hospital undergoing treatment for leukemia.
This is the only place that treats kids with cancer at this stage that he's in.
Duncan and his family will be staying at the Ronald McDonald House in Vancouver for months, far from their home in Williams Lake. But a new program through the charity is helping the young boy continue his education, making up for lost time at school.
They have one-on-one sessions, which Duncan loves because he loves to learn. And we are expected to be here for a good chunk of time without getting to go back home. So that will be really nice that they can do school here during that time as well.
The education program provides hands-on learning support and resources for children fighting serious illnesses. Sarah Shinkarik is one of the teachers.
Sarah comes in at least a couple of times a week and teaches either individual kids, depending on the age, or a group, depending if we have kids that are in that same target learning area.
He says Ronald McDonald House BC supports more than 70 families at a time, each child with their own unique needs. Duncan and his sister Shelley take part in the program together.
A lot of times if there's a disinfectant protocol, then it would need to be a one-on-one situation. We do certainly have the sick kids and the siblings that are in the program.
Ronald McDonald House says 1 year of the education program costs about $45,000, which will have to come from donations.
It keeps kids connected to what they should be doing, which is learning and growing as individuals, and that normalcy that they would have if they were in their home neighborhood.
The Ackert family says the new program has been beneficial for their son, who just wants to be a kid. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Vancouver.
Pencils, pencil crayons, markers, and backpacks. Today, the Guru Nanak Food Bank held its annual school supply drive aimed at helping students in need. Organizers say back-to-school supplies are getting more expensive, and many families are already struggling with inflation and rising costs.
This is our third annual school supply drives. As you know, that this is a Labor Day long weekend and kids are going back to school. And a lot of needy kids, they need this stationery and school supplies. So because of that need, we are doing this drive.
He says supplies will go to elementary and high school students in Delta and Surrey to give them the tools they need to succeed this school year. Beekeepers in Revelstoke are calling on the city to amend a draft bylaw that they say would impact backyard beehives, making many illegal. Megan Dooling reports.
The 26 or so beekeepers in Revelstoke are not regulated by formal rules. They put up electric fences and other bear deterrents and try to minimize the public's exposure to their hobby.
It's a garage, this part, to get them up nice and high so that they're just flying out over the neighborhood and not interacting with people down at ground level so much. They get lots of nice sun exposure, and we build up some protection in the winter against the wind.
The city of Revelstoke is rewriting all its bylaws. It released a 265-page draft in the spring.
We are considering everything from beekeeping to accessory dwelling units to the height of multi-unit residential buildings.
The city's first stab at regulating bees has beekeepers scratching their heads.
Beekeeping is only permitted in a lot equal to or greater than 0.4 hectares. We're hoping that this is a typo and they really meant 0.04. That size lot is not realistic.
Without honeybees and other pollinators, most plants wouldn't grow.
It's interesting, lots of learning, lots about it that's really cool, and it always benefits the whole neighborhood in terms of pollination and the food production in my own garden.
Revelstoke is a bee city, which means it's made a commitment to ban chemicals and plant gardens that promote pollinators. Revelstoke is also growing and changing, and the city is changing its regulations to keep up with the growth.
We know that our public officials, they have a lot going on. Our city is growing at an exponential rate. So I don't think it's that people don't want to address these issues. We're finding that food security isn't necessarily at the top of the list for a lot of things.
Beekeepers are hopeful the city will hear their concerns and revise the rules to encourage even more people to keep hives.
It's likely we're probably going to reach out to the local beekeepers, maybe do some workshopping with them so that we can refine these regulations so that they work for the local community.
The other thing I love about bees is just about, well, everything that comes from the hive is good for us. From propolis to royal jelly to pollen to nectar that they turn into honey. You know, there's such a benefit to humankind that comes from the beehive.
Megan Dooling, CBC News, Revelstoke.
Star quarterback Nathan Rourke made a winning return to his hometown last night. Rourke surprised BC Lions fans returning to the team after a stint in the NFL and quickly boosting hopes that a Grey Cup is within reach. As Quabine Oduro reports, this game was extra special because of its location.
Let's go, Lions!
Excited fans in a sea of orange for the first ever CFL game played in Victoria.
Everybody's just so stoked. It's something new, and it's here. I think I can see this happening again for sure.
A sellout crowd of 14,000 fans packed the Royal Athletic Park to see the return of hometown boy and CFL superstar Nathan Rourke.
It's fun to play in front of family anytime. I'm glad that they were able to make the effort to come out and we were able to play here in Victoria.
After being named the best Canadian player in the CFL in 2022, Rourke left to pursue his NFL dream. But relegated to just practice roster slots over the past 2 seasons, he's back home. And next year, he'll be the highest paid player, making nearly $800,000.
I love playing in BC. I love playing in this province. I love playing in Canada. It's a real joy for me. When I go down in the States, I feel like I'm representing Canada, and to be here, I still feel that. So it's really cool, and it's always a lot more fun when we're winning.
And they won big. The BC Lions defeated the Ottawa Red Blacks 38-12. The first touchdown, courtesy of the hometown hero himself. The game's such a success, the CFL commissioner says Victoria could host more.
We've already started a casual conversation which will intensify in the days to follow.
Rourke, for one, is on board, with fans wanting more games in their own backyard.
Fabulous, the first time ever having Touchdown Pacific in Victoria. Have to go, it's my hometown, don't even have to take a ferry to go see the Lions.
With Touchdown Pacific over and done, Lions fans now want something bigger. The Grey Cup back in BC.
Oh yeah, baby, let's go!
Quabine Oduro, CBC News, Montreal.
Coming up, a day of sorrow and anger in Israel after the bodies of 6 hostages are recovered from Gaza. That's next. It was a devastating start to the long weekend in BC. A group of 4 people found near a beach suffering from apparent drug poisonings. 2 of them died. As Yvette Brend reports, it's a grim reminder of the crisis gripping this country.
Friday, at this tranquil beach on Vancouver Island, a sunrise swimmer found a tragedy unfolding. 4 people sprawled near a truck, overdosing. This neighbor was shocked.
Majorly, yeah. It was, because nothing ever happens down here.
2 women died, 2 men left in critical condition, all in their 30s and 40s.
We don't tend to see this many people overdosing simultaneously, and it's rare, but it is sort of a nightmare scenario about what can happen, in a worst case.
Officials say it's a stark reminder. Never use drugs alone, always with somebody sober. More than 6 people die every day on average in BC from toxic drugs.
Many of the people the numbers are just faceless to people, so we try and bring their faces out here and say, look, this is really who we're losing. And, we shouldn't be. It's wrong.
Nationally, the death toll has surpassed 44,000 Canadians in 8 years. Now, supervised consumption sites where users can test their drugs and have staff on hand to stop an overdose are increasingly under fire.
And I was just wondering how you would feel if I stuck one of these beside your house. You wouldn't like it.
Last month, Ontario banned supervised consumption sites near schools and daycares, effectively closing 10 of its 17 facilities. That province says it's focused instead on treatment. Alberta, too, which has built multi-million-dollar recovery centres.
We're losing lives. We're losing a lot of potential for Canada. You're still breathing, brother.
This man, Harold Melbourne, recovered after 15 years of using.
Good morning.
And now helps others struggling to stop using. He wants to see BC focus more on recovery, too.
Many times we have somebody coming in here, they want to clean up, but we can't hold on to them because there's no beds available. Hey, guys.
He, one of many demanding more support to help save lives across Canada. Yvette Brand, CBC News, Vancouver.
It was a day of sorrow in Israel after the bodies of 6 hostages were recovered from Gaza. But there was anger as well at the government. The CBC's Katie Nicholson reports.
They jammed into the streets of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, tens of thousands. And as darkness fell, tempers flared. Some clashed with police. That fury directed largely at their own government after a devastating discovery deep underground in Gaza. The bodies of 6 hostages recovered by the Israeli forces in the tunnels under Rafah, ranging in age from 23 to 40, 5 taken from a music festival, 1 from a kibbutz. Israel says they had been recently executed, shot at close range.
It was a coward act to murder them the way they did.
Torontonian Mayan Shavitz's cousin Carmel Gatt is among the dead.
I am devastated. The family is devastated. We are broken. But we must not forget that there is 101 hostages that are the majority are still alive, but not for long.
Those with families still unaccounted for, also unnerved and furious.
They should have come back alive. A deal should have been struck a long time ago.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been accused of dragging his feet on a ceasefire to preserve political power. Despite demands he addressed the nation, he instead put out a pre-recorded video statement vowing to continue the fight and hold those who killed the hostages accountable. That, as the opposition leader condemned him. Netanyahu and the death cabinet decided not to rescue the hostages, said Yair Lapid. That blood is on their hands. This marks the 11th month of war. Officials believe more than 100 hostages are still inside Gaza, 2/3 of whom are thought to be alive. In that time, more than 40,000 Palestinians also died, according to Gaza's health ministry. The Biden administration has been pushing hard for a deal between Israel and Hamas. The latest round of talks have so far failed. But Monday may bring renewed pressure on Israel, its largest union calling for a general strike to bring the country to a standstill and try to force its government to strike a deal and deliver the rest of the hostages safely home. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Washington.
Here we have a live shot of the Inner Harbor in downtown Victoria tonight. I'll have your full forecast next. All right, let's take a look at our Labor Day weekend weather. Let's start off with a peek at the map of tonight's temperatures. 3 degrees in Dees Lake, 11 in Fort St. John, 13 in Williams Lake, 17 in Kamloops and Kelowna, 13 on the island in Tofino, and 12 in Victoria. Heading into tomorrow, that is going to be 15 and some rain for Dees Lake, 19 in Terrace, 21 in Bella Coola, much warmer in areas such as Kamloops with a high of 33 for tomorrow, 26 in Whistler for tomorrow, and on the island, Victoria, you're going to see a mix of sun and clouds and a high of 20 for your Labor Day Monday. And heading into Metro Vancouver, 22 with a mix of sun and clouds. Similar temperatures heading into Tuesday with a high of 21. Those clear clouds are going to clear right out for Wednesday with a high of 23. Well, for the first time since his historic gold medal win at the 2024 Paris Olympics, fans had the chance to meet Philip Kim, who goes by B-Boy Phil Wizard, to learn some of his moves. Kim, who grew up in Vancouver, was at the PNE today teaching kids some basic break dancing moves. The 27-year-old broke ground as the first ever champion in the inaugural breaking discipline at the Olympics. And dozens of pinball players gathered this weekend for the Vancouver Pinball Open. The two-day tournament featured more than 20 machines from all eras, including classics like Kingpin, the Addams Family, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and World Cup Soccer.
It's an idea that started about 1.5 years ago, and we started to tap a bunch of machine owners over the course of the last 6 or 8 months, and this is what we ended up with.
All right, that is your late news for this Sunday. Thank you so much for joining us. For news on the go at any hour, you can visit our website at cbc.ca/bc. Good night.